Right, okay, so within this topic, we're going to look at solving equations. There's lots of different types of solving equations within this sheet. And the main thing is that we always find out what the letter, the variable is. So we're going to have a look at sort of the various different options that we've got. The key thing is inverse operations. Okay, so if we think about our inverse operations, okay, the first thing you've got is if you're seeing add, the inverse of adding is going to be subtracting, or the inverse of subtracting will be adding. If you've got multiplication and division are the inverse. Okay, and in algebra, we're going to see multiplying in regards to things like 7y. So 7y means y multiplied by 7. For example, if we add 2a, that would mean we've got 2 multiplied by a. Division wise, we might see it as a division sign, but we're more often likely to see it things like with this d over 2, or down here 2x divided by 3. So we've got the division sign, which could be like this, which would mean d divided by 2, but it could also be the flip round of that. It could be 2 over d, which would then be 2 divided by d. Okay, so they're the inverses. The only other ones, they're not on these sheets, but other ones that you might find is to do with, say, if you had x squared. If you've got x squared, the inverse of squaring would be square root. And then the flip of that also you could also have is if you've got cubing, so like x multiplied by x multiplied by x, the inverse of that would be cube root, where you've got your 3 on the outside. Okay, so they're your inverses that you're likely to see. You are particularly likely to see these ones on the top, so we'll just focus on them to begin with. So we've got something, so we've got x, add 4 equals to 19. So the easiest way to then do that would be to do 19 subtract 4 is equal to, and then 15. So then our 1x is equal to 15. And then I'm going to check it. 15 add 4 is 19. So I know I've done it right. This time, my top tip with this one would be write it out again using the division sign. So I'm not going to do any inverses just yet. So I've got d divided by 2 is equal to 9.5. Now I can look at then doing the inverse of that. Now I can see that sign and it's in my head, right? I now need to multiply by 2. So I've now got 9.5 multiplied by 2. So 2 lots of 9 is 18. And then 2 lots of a half is a whole one. So that gives me 19 in total. And then again, I'm going to check it. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. Happy days. Okay, next one, I've got 7y equals 63. So I now know that I've got 7 multiplied by something equals to 63. So again, I need to do the inverse. So I've got 63 divided by 7. And if I needed to, I could do my 7 times table. So 7, 14, 21, and so on. That gives me an answer of 9. And then I'd check it up again. So does 7 multiplied by 9? Yep, it works. So I'm okay. Next one, you can see now that in regards to these questions above, your M, particularly for question 2, your M's now changed positions. Okay, so I've now got 5 subtract M is equal to 12. So first thing I'm looking at is the fact that actually from my question part, I'm now increasing in size. So I'm going from a smaller number to an answer that's now larger, and I've got a subtraction sign, which doesn't normally work unless we use some of those rules to do with adding and subtracting. Okay, so first thing we're going to do then is I'm going to look at the difference between these two numbers. So I'm going to do 12 subtract 5 gives me 7. So if I put 7 in here, I've got 5 subtract 7 is minus 2. But if I've got 2 negatives next to each other, that's going to give me a positive. So now 5 subtract negative 7 takes me up to 12. So that's good. So I've got then my m is equal to -7. So I found the difference, and then I then started to think about those adding and subtracting rules. Okay, if we look at something slightly different, then if we look at number 7, this number 7 now is a two-step operation where we're going to have to do expanding the brackets first of all, and then solving. So the first thing I want to do is have 4 multiplied by a, which gives me 4a. Then 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. The positive and the negative gives me a negative. My answer part, I do not need to expand it because there's nothing within brackets on the right-hand side of this equal sign. So that's staying the same. So there is the first part of the equation done, where I've then expanded it to get rid of those brackets. Now I can now do the inverse to now start solving it. So the first thing, I've got subtract 12. So I now need to do add 12 to both sides. So I've got 4a's. That's then gone. 22 add 12. So I've got then 30. Yep, 34. Now I need to then do my division. So I'm then going to divide it, because I've got 4 multiplied by something. So I'm going to divide by 4 and divide by 4, which then leaves me over here that I'm going to have to do. If I think about my 4 times table, it gets me to 32. So I'm going to go into my bus stop. So 4's into 3 doesn't go, carry the 3 over. 4's into 32 goes. So I've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. So I'm here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 times. I got to 32. I meant to put a 4 there, didn't I? I need to get to 34. So that means I've got 2 left over. So 2 carries over onto the tenths column. I've now got 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 8.5. Okay. Just make sure, like me, I made a mistake there, but thankfully I picked up on it. But just be mindful of what you are doing. Right. Okay. So there's a couple of other ones, 8 and 9, where you can do some expansion. The other types of questions then that you might see, we'll just have a look at a couple of these. So this one, 10b, is exactly like what we've just done on question 7, but we do not need to expand it. So for this one, we've got 3h subtract 5 equals to 12. So the first thing I need to get rid of is the subtraction. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. -5 add 5 is 0. So that leaves me with 3h on this side. 12 add 5 is equal to 17. Now I need to divide 3 h's down to just to get to 1h. So that then leaves me with h is equal to, again, if I think about my 3 times table, I'm going to have to go into my shed. We have shed, I'll call it shed. It's a bus stop, isn't it? Bus stop method. So I've got 17 divided by 3. So 3's into 17 goes 5 times remainder 2. 3's into 20 goes into yeah, got my half-term brains on. So 3's into it goes to 18. So that's 6 times. There we are. Remainder 2, which is then 6 times remainder 2, which is then 6 times remainder 2, and so on. So that means then that my h is worth 5.6, and because this 6 and this pattern is reoccurring, 5.6 occurring is right over here. So 5.6, and then a little dot on top. That's what my h is equal to. Okay, the next one that you might then see is just like this one. So for this first part, I would simplify it first of all. So I'd have 3x is equal to 42, and then we can then solve it. So 3's into 4 goes once, remainder 1, and then 3's into 12 goes 4 times. Again, another one we've got here is using the divide sign. So again, that top tip would be write it out first of all. So divided by 3 is equal to 4. And then again, we can then do the inverse. So y equals to 12. Last one I'm going to have a look at is just number 13. Okay, so for this one, we've got 2x divided by 3 is equal to 6. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the dividing part. So if I look at writing it out again, first thing I'm going to get rid of then is the dividing by 3. So I've got 6 multiplied by 3 is 6, 12, 18. That's got rid of that. Now I'm going to then divide it by 2. So I've got 18 divided by 2 gives me 9. And then I'm going to check it out. 9 multiplied by 2 is 18. 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. So I know it works. Okay, I'm not sure. Let's have a look on the back, see if I've given you any. Yeah, so one final skill then to look at in regards to solving equations is these types of questions over here where you've got unknown values on both sides. So these could come in this form, but they also could come when they give you two things like shapes, for example, and they might say the perimeter of this shape is equal to the perimeter of this shape, or this length is equal to this length. Work out what the missing letter is. And again, we can have a look at some of those when we're back together, just to unpick some of them. But what we want to do is make sure that we do not have unknown letters on both sides. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at which side has the least amount of x's on. So on this side is my least amount. So I'm going to take 3 x's off of that side. But to keep it balanced, I'm going to take 3 x's off the other side. So 3x subtract 3x is equal to 12. 5 subtract 3 gives me the 2x. The add 4 stays the same. So 3x subtract 3x is 0, just leaving us the 12. 5x subtract 3x equals to 2x, and the add 4 stays the same. Now we can solve that equation as normal. So get rid of the adding 4 first of all. So 12 subtract 4 equals to 8. That gets rid of that. And then 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So then x is equal to 4. Okay, so if I check it out now and substitute it in, 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. 12 add 12 is 24. So to the left of the equal sign, it equals to 24. 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. 20 add 4 is also equal to 24. So I know then that's right because both sides of the equal sign is 24, which is how it works. Okay, same sort of thing again for question 21. 22, just have a look at now. And this is then the mindful bit here to then be looking at. So this one says minus 2s. This is the least amount of s's, but this time we're going to add 2 s's onto each side. And the reason why is we want to get that down to 0 s's. And the way we get that to 0 is by taking it up 2 s's to get it up to 0 because we're at minus 2. So for example, if we're on a number line, we're here, we want to get it up to 0. So we're adding 2 on. So we're going to add 2s to both sides. So that leaves us then with 10 on the left-hand side. S, add 2 more s's, gives me 3s. And then I've got subtract 8. Now I can get rid of the operation. So 10, add 8, gives me 18. 18 divided by 3 equals to 6. So S is equal to 6. And I'm going to check it. 2 multiplied by 6 is 12. 10 subtract 12 is equal to minus 2. Then I've got 6 subtract 8 equals minus 2. So by using s is equal to 6, it works because it's on both sides. Okay, so that is solving equations. Hope that helps. Bye.